close to the point where we'll just say we'll do it, just pay us. Because that's what our neighbor's doing with his stairwell.
Yep.
I would have taken the concrete stairs instead of, he's gonna pave his, or do pavers for his stairs.
I think the concrete stairs they did are real nice in those retaining
And Mike and
walls.
Vicky's look great.
Yep.
Well, the retaining walls need work, but they're gonna paint them and stain them and make them look good. They look good. You don't have to look at them, they look crappy from somebody looking out.
Oh,
It looks
do
like
they?
I'm by like across the street from the bridge in a big industrial retaining wall.
I actually like it better than the steep bank that used to be there. You know,
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that was, I'm sure, hard to mow and maintain.
So,
We have
anybody else
one,
coming?
1, 2,
I
3,
haven't heard from anybody, one way or the other.
Okay,
We got a quorum.
all right, we have called order, approve agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second,
Everybody in support of the agenda, say yes.
Yes.
Everybody opposed, say nay. All right, so the only thing that, we have no public comments. It doesn't look like anybody's showing. So I did get one public comment via email. And the public comment is that the city approved and I sent it, it's just like the city approved just the parking lot. And that's all they're responsible for now. And the bid that we had originally stated was the parking lot and the side. So technically, the city didn't resend out the bid for just the parking lot alone. And I think they got 2 bids, but I don't know if that's something they can control, but they got 2 bids instead of 3 bids, and it was just the parking lot. So I'd like to open it up as like, especially Brad, you probably have more info on this of what the city needs to process with this, or your comments.
Yeah, so we had gone through, working with the city in terms of setting this up, and it looked like a big enough project that we would put it out for, and that was their advice to us, you really should use the public bidding process. You go out, you have to put a certain amount of notice ahead of time, you have to have a full design, and there's obviously some stuff that goes along with that, so we went out, got bids back, and then apparently in the side process, and I had some discussions over there, I'm not sure why we weren't communicating with each other and didn't realize this was all happening, but apparently they had said, well, we had a previous design that our city engineer had sketched up, so let's just put that together and put it out. And I guess at some point they decided that, I think state law is that if it's under $100,000, you can put it out for quotes, which is a different process. It's not as cumbersome, there's not as many. You can actually, it's not even really publicly out there for whoever wants to. You can actually just go and say, hey Joe, hey Betty, you know, give us some quotes. And so it's a much different process that way. And so I guess they went out to 2 different, my understanding, everybody else knows differently, and correct me, they went out to 2 different local people and said, well, here's a different project, here's just a paving parking lot with a couple trees, you know, give us quotes on that. So they used a totally different process than what we have been kind of directed down the pathway. And I think from my limited understanding, it does follow state guidelines, because it used to be a $50,000 cap, now it's up to $100,000. Turns out these one came in just under 100,000, the other one came in at 70. They were close, but they were below. And I guess someone had said that there was also some internal city policy in the past where they had said, well, yeah, anything over either 25 or 50, it's probably good practice to go out and do a full bidding process. But I don't really know all the backstory on that. Haven't had a chance or haven't really researched that to see. But some people were questioning whether the city followed their own policy, even if they did follow underneath state law. So that's the process that got us here. So you've got, bidding process, which is a little more formal and a bigger. We had a 250-page specifications of everything is to be done with our design. The city put together their, I think it was 40, 50 pages. That was it was 24 pages, I think they printed out. Was their quote package for something that is different than what we were putting out. And so then they got 2 quotes back, and then those showed up to us, the day of our board meeting. So the city, I did go to the city council, 2 of us went to city council. If you want to go, definitely a good place to stop, or?
No, I guess I would finish with, because you put a lot of effort into the parking lot and the bids, as it were. Like, what are your feelings towards that the way that it's going?
Yeah, I guess I was disappointed, and I expressed that to the administrator. I thought it was kind of weird that we had these 2 processes going on and didn't seem to know about them. talked to our design professional, and he was a little upset because, you know, there's no one's communication. He was trying to communicate with the city, and because we were under the impression we had landscape standards and lighting standards and things that we were doing the city code. This doesn't look like this was particularly doing things the city code. This doesn't include lighting, stuff like that. And, you know, I just feel bad for the people that put together their bids, that, you know, they're following one process and putting all their effort in to do this, and then I guess found out later after, after the fact, there was this other process going on that was being done and handled a different way. So, I mean, I think
Yeah.
people kind of look at that and say, well, what's going on here? That seems kind of...
And technically, the reality, this isn't an emergency vote. You know, if we voted no and force them to go back and do it the other way, we can. You know, we can say, it doesn't sound like a fair process, we want you to go back and do the other, because I'm not sure why, but it seems like what you're telling me is that we have to approve of whatever they did.
Because the library, through state statute, the library board is in charge of the library and grounds, the physical building and the parking lot. So if there's going to be a physical change, a project, a capital project on the library grounds, it needs to be approved of by the library board.
So the city, so we went to city council, they basically said, we're setting aside, not accepting any of the bids. We have these two quotes for a different thing, we'll accept this one, and their attorney did say, well, you have to make it, or the mayor said contingent on the library board approving it, and the attorney said, yes, the city just can't unilaterally do it without the library board approving of it.
But this quote that we have in front of us is what was originally quoted almost 2 years ago, right? Just doing the parking lot and
Just the
sod
parking lot.
and that stuff.
When they were doing something else over
They
there.
were doing the alley, I believe, or maybe it was the fire department?
Both, they were gonna.
Both?
Yeah, they were.
And at the same time, we could have done the parking lot?
That's right. Which is something that we'd
So
looked
they
at
had a-
originally anyway.
So it was not quoted at the time, or bid at the time?
We were given a price quote. The library board was given a price quote, and the
Oh,
board at
that's
that
right.
time
Mhm.
chose to take no action on that price quote.
And the quote was 77,000?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right, we did.
So this one is actually even a little lower
Yeah.
than that previous.
We had heard it could be 30,000 or something to do it, like when that was what the fire department was hearing, and then when we actually started saying, well, can you give us a real number? Was that actually a quote, or was that the engineer's estimate that they came back and said?
they said it was, I actually think it was a price quote.
They talked
Yeah.
to somebody and said, well, we think it's maybe more like 70.
And we also at the
Step back
time
and say it's
had,
not.
Shane Kahn, take a look at it too and give us a rough estimate on what it would cost.
Mhm.
And the number was, he felt like the number was competitive and sound.
But they were already here doing work, so once we passed on that opportunity, I think that price was gone.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the
'Cause
same
usually you don't-
contractor or not.
Right, usually when
It might be the
you
same
do those
contractor.
add-ons, you save on the cost of mobilization,
Yep.
cause they're already in the neighborhood. And,
The way I look at it is, I mean, the city moved forward with this, this is quite a bit different than what we were doing as far as not having a sidewalk and kind of pedestrian going back and forth, and the water features, and we'd even looked to see if we could take out the water features, what that would look like. But this is a different project, this doesn't have lighting, doesn't have those other features. And we could go with what the city says and say, yeah, this is a different design than what we have proposed, but works and it gets some pavement out there for us. I think we could say no and leave it, I guess in my mind, it kind of defaults back to the county, because that came up with what we had proposed as well, how excited was the county with the design, and I don't know if anybody's gotten the county's opinion on this design either. So I mean, I think it could even be just that we,
So I'm assuming
county,
if
you're
we
gonna
say
own this
no,
property, and
the county will just have to deal with it after January.
that's.
this may, I mean, basically, you might just be delaying it until spring, when the exact, they might get a different quote, but roughly the same design.
Basically, right, I mean, I guess it'd be back to the county, if you have a preference on, the more sidewalk lighting version, or do you want the plain parking lot and?
Right, well, my real hope is, is that if we can, if we can agree to have this element taken care of now, I, feel like, since there are a lot of additional elements to our building already being added in, those other features we may be able to fold those in as well. in a way that's less politically contentious than what you and I dealt with at City Hall. We may get exactly what we want, what we originally wanted, it just might be a little further down the road. That's, you know, and I'm not guaranteeing that's gonna happen, but I feel like we have a shot at that, and,
And the cost would be shared, I believe, then.
yeah, so,
Shared between
city and county.
city and county.
Yeah,
Cause the county's gonna be doing, you know, is planning on doing a number of renovations to this building. There's no real reason why they couldn't also decide, you know, to put in the walkway or, you know, some other features as well, just to make for a more attractive, usable library space.
Yeah, the extent of the, I mean, to that point, the extent of their landscaping is about 4 trees on that, 4 trees on that side, like where the old ditch was. I mean, they're actually underneath power lines, so they can't really do those, or that's kind of level of design, those really won't work, so I assume they'll go back to sodding it or putting some grass down, and then it could be that later someone tries to take those 2 designs and kind of figure out how they work together.
Yeah, I mean, I've already shared this with some of my soon-to-be coworkers, and you know, and there was definitely interest in these in the features that, you know, that are absent from this now. So I mean, I don't think it's dead. Is you know, and
That's why I say one option is put it back to the county, and it's their property. They're gonna take over the property, and then let them decide. I've seen them be interested in a more walkable, kind of more
sure,
facilities there, but
yeah.
that's, well, I don't know. Or you could put this in and then try to retrofit that in, or.
Yeah, my concern, you know, I think if we, you know, if we play nice in the sandbox and just say, hey, you know, like, this isn't what we wanted, but, you know, this isn't exactly what we wanted, but we'd like to make a recommendation that you look at these features and try to incorporate them into your future plans, you know, that could really get the job done in a really pleasant way, without a lot of fighting and, you know.
So it would be like approve this and then later on they would.
We could make a recommendation tonight, you know,
Okay,
that,
I see.
you know,
that the city and county
Yeah.
sit down in the spring and
Come up with a
discuss
good
this.
plan that includes
That
some of
makes
them.
sense. Can you elaborate on, you said that the city would help pay for this second phase if this was just the parking lot and somebody else?
Well,
was the second?
I did the same thing as when we were talking about affiliating with the county. I went and talked to everybody, you know, and found out whatever I could from the city administrator and the county commissioner and our county library board member for this library. I did the same thing with this issue. I went and I talked to all these people and I said, you know, what's going on here? What do we have to do? And the most important information I got was probably from Gary Creasel, our District 3 County Commissioner, who's a MELSA board member. He's a library guy. And I said, if we approved the parking lot paving, got that done, you know, this fall before winter like it has to happen, could we still do something about in between the buildings in the spring? And he said, absolutely. He said, the county's gonna pour a bunch of money into this building, and they would be able to sit down with the city and talk about that. Now, that doesn't guarantee that it gets done or it gets done like you wanna see it get done, but at least they would sit down and talk about what are we gonna do there and how are we gonna split the cost of it. And he said those talks should include Dan Stout, the property owner to the north, so that Dan, the city, the county, everybody's involved on what's going on.
So you think the city would also participate in that cost then? I'm not, that's part of.
That's what it sounded like to me, but I wouldn't know how the
Because that's what the
proportions would
city
be.
said, or that's what Mr. Creasel said, or?
That's what Mr. Creasel said. And since the county would own the building and be in charge of the library, I think they would kind of be the lead on that. So I don't know how this all gets done or how it gets split up or what would happen. But he said, yes, they would sit down and discuss that with the city.
I think that'd be nice if the city were to participate, but I guess what we heard when we went to the city council meeting was they thought it was a waste of money and a bad idea.
yeah, right.
So I guess that's what I'm trying to understand, when you say
Sure.
the city will come back and participate later, right now, that was
No, and I-
reaction A,
yeah,
so on
my-
reaction B, we give it
Yeah,
reaction
and
A.
I think honestly, I mean, what I got from Justin, if you guys were listening, it sounds like long-term, they're talking, there's gonna be a new library with a new city council, city hall meeting. I mean, I think he wants something big, which would really bother me if the city invests in something huge that's like a new city hall with a library and all this, like, way overexpending. But, like, I wouldn't count on this library being the library long-term. So I don't think that they're gonna look at this as the building. If he's saying it's a waste of money, in his mind, I think, this is from what he let out when he was trying not to speak about when, it was the fact that I think it sounded like there'll be something bigger with a library in it. So I mean, I bet they're not gonna wanna put money into the side. So I think tonight if we vote, we need to not consider that this county is gonna put in a sidewalk for us. We either stand up now and say, this is the bid, we want you to do the bid process, and not the quote, and we want you to include this stuff, or else we just say, go ahead, do it, it's on your own. You know, it's the,
Well, could we do, I mean, I thought there was at one point that the city agreed to split the cost of the walkway with the library. That was, that was, earlier, I mean, that wasn't anything lately. So, and I think Lions Park is gonna be there, they're even bigger. So I would hope that, so long, if the county is for it, that there'd be people in the city that would support, having a walkway through there and something.
well, I know the Bayport Library looks a lot better with the master gardeners having the gardens and the pieces
Absolutely.
in front, it looks a lot better. I mean, where did you live before? Were you from this area?
No, we moved from Washington DC.
Okay.
Yeah.
She has lovely libraries.
Yeah. Different issue, but yeah. The MLK Center downtown,
Yeah.
it's a little different. But does this bid include lights for the back parking lot?
No.
See, that's an issue for me. That gets really dark and scary at night when you leave your,
Yeah.
like especially in the wintertime when it gets dark at like 4:30, like leaving here with the kids and going back there, like it's uncomfortable.
Mhm.
So I don't know if there's much that can be done about it.
Sure, we could say no, and then they would have to go back and redo it. I mean,
Or wait it out,
or they could wait it out till,
January.
well, I don't,
I mean,
Could we say this is okay, but we want lighting?
yeah, you can,
we can put an amendment to anything, you know,
Uh-huh.
but it doesn't mean that they're gonna,
It could even happen that this gets paved and the county comes in here this winter, January, February, and says, that needs lights back there,
Hey,
let's do that.
Shouldn't it be like a city or a county code that like a public building needs lights in the parking lot? I mean, is
Well,
it-
because we were operating thinking we had to meet city code, but we were told after the fact, by Christine and I talked to her on the phone, was, well, there've been a lot of exceptions in these kind of for existing conditions. So again, we're going from gravel to paving, so we thought you'd think you'd be held to the higher level. It's not like you're just kind of re-asphalting what was already asphalted, but she said, based on that, you could make the argument that it wouldn't necessarily have to meet all the codes, so this one that doesn't have lighting, could still go through. It's not that it needs to have it, although our design had been assuming all along that we would meet city code. So that was her explanation. Her explanation further was that, and if you do propose to do lighting or add landscaping or any of those other things, then what you do has to meet city code, but you sort of triggered that by volunteering to do it, but we wouldn't necessarily absolutely require it because of kind of the downtown being sort of retrofit kind of scenarios, so.
So it kinda gets grandfathered in until you get to a certain level.
Yeah, it's kind of unclear to me exactly where the line gets drawn, but yeah, that's basically the idea.
I'm fine with either way, but I have to leave in about 5 minutes.
Okay, all right.
So here's my thing.
I would bring up,
I would say if we say no to it, we're meeting in September. It's not like they couldn't pave in September. And we could say we would like to see lighting in the bid and we'd like to see some more of the city type stuff. Or, I'm not telling you what to vote, obviously, or we could just say, it's your problem, I'll go deal with it.
I don't know if we run into a time crunch if
We're not into any time crunch.
in September, because this was This contract says it could be done by October 13th, and I don't know when that was signed. I believe that would have been July sometime. So there's some sort of lead time there to getting work done.
We could throw on another meeting if they would.
I guess what I would like to do is to approve, I mean, I'm just saying my opinion, is to approve this, but amend it, say that we, I don't know the language, but adding on lighting and considering,
But Judy, you know how that worked last time? It doesn't work.
what do you mean?
When we tried amending it, they came back to us and said no. So either
Well,
we,
the county came back and said no, wasn't
No.
the city.
no, the city came back and said they would close this if we don't give the agreement they want. It never even went to the county.
Oh, I know what you mean, okay.
So I think we either put thumbs up or thumbs down. I don't think we put amendments on it.
My personal recommendation is that the board approve this tonight, and I will work as hard as I can behind the scenes to try and get the elements that we want in this, included in this, if not by the city, then by the county. And I'm not making promises, but I'm sure we're gonna rattle a lot of cages.
Yeah.
You're gonna be here no matter what, so you're
I
a
will-
constant.
Yeah, I
Keep
mean,
stumbling out in the
I'm an
dark.
irritant. And,
Well, not I mean, technically, if something happens and they have layoffs, you're gonna be the first to go. So I mean,
yeah,
we can't be, no, we can't be like,
absolutely.
I don't think we need to like put it on Nate's back that it's gonna happen. I think we need to make a decision on our account and using our big vision of whether or not we think we should force them to do some of those things. Anybody motion for a vote?
Well, I don't know, forcing people at this stage for us is kind of a wimpy attempt, I don't know what to call it, so, I don't know.
if
I'll
people-
make a motion if I can. I make a motion that we approve the bid from Miller Excavating for $71,401.80 to pave the back parking lot according to their contract. Here, all the items they have specified on it.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of the motion? Or any conversation, talk first, discussion?
I don't begrudge anybody that feels like it'd be nice just to have it paved and get that out of the way. You know, as a designer, I feel kind of awkward sort of putting things piecemeal when they haven't really been thought together. I mean, even trying to have the lighting, maybe somebody later says, oh, you needed to have a conduit over there, now you're tearing up the asphalt, so. I mean, I would not support it, because I do feel like we had a very good sound concept, and, you know, that didn't move it forward. I think the county does maybe see some things like that in a very favorable light, so they might come around and see something like that, but obviously what Nate mapped out, maybe it works out that they pay this, and maybe we can kind of get the other pieces sort of jimmy rigged back in, but it's just not the way I would like to approach it, so.
Personally, before I would approve it, I wanna see it concrete in there. I don't wanna see us like at the end hoping they put lights there. I don't wanna see at the end hoping that they put some type of sidewalk. And I don't think we're in a rush, but.
You're not leaving here at night with two babies feeling not safe going to your car.
Well, no, but my way would help you. Your way, if you voted to it, they're just gonna put that up, and we're not guaranteeing at all that they're gonna put any type of lights there.
But there's no guarantee if we approve this, if they're gonna put lights in there.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, right now.
You're saying the exact same thing, Ann. If we approve it, they
Right.
can go and put it out without lights.
Right.
If we say no, we're forcing them to go back and redo something. And the thing I'm gonna
Or
ask them to
not.
do is,
Why
sure.
not? Yeah.
Well, Nate, I mean,
They can just say, oh, the library board, just forget about it, they'll be gone.
Well, then
in 2 months.
well,
Then we
No?
go through another winter without a paved
I
parking
know,
lot.
I think it's better just to do it and do all we can. I would support you, Nate, too, and,
Yeah.
you know, rattling some cages over
I
there.
completely understand where both of you are coming from. There are no
Yes.
guarantees, and, you know, the piecemeal approach is not optimal, you know, and, I but I also,
But I think there is a guarantee. The city's agreement is that the city would pay to pave the paved parking lot before January, which means we have this amount. And we can't, you're wrong in saying that if we don't do anything, that the county gets a hold of it. Because they have to have a paved parking lot before January as part of what our agreement was.
unless they
with
change
them.
the agreement, yeah.
Well, then we would have to change the agreement.
I think we should just go ahead. I'm the one who crawled over the ice out there to get to the door one Saturday morning. Because it was so slippery.
All right, let's just take a vote. All right, all in favor of accepting the bid as it stands, say yay.
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 All opposed, nay. Nay. Voted against.
Well, okay.
My advice, tell them we will throw a meeting together whenever they can possible, but then we want to see lights in it, for sure, and the possibility of the sidewalk next to it. But at least, I think some of the lights, some of the city council features, some of the features that were mandated prior, and if they don't accept it, we knew that we did our job. I don't think we're in a hurry. I think we've got that before.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I don't want to see something go up and then in the future,
Yeah.
I mean, we have a guy outside that killed a woman who's a friend of mine this week. So,
Oh, really?
And he was
What?
last seen at Lake Elmo Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a friend of mine.
Oh.
So she
Somebody
was
that
just,
worked at that,
no, she was from Quorum. She has a financial business that.
oh,
So yeah, and then he was last seen in Stillwater. Her car was found at the Lake Elmo Fairgrounds.
oh.
Are we adjourned then?
We are adjourned.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll get off of it.
Officially.
Yeah, there's
Officially.
a big alert.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, I know.
Bits and pieces.
I hope we didn't make it too late.
No, my ride should be here shortly.
If you drive 120 miles an hour, you should make it.
Don't do that.